vital services remained available. Her career also includes leadership in workforce development, financial services, and community initiatives. So I'm just going to introduce each person, and then you guys can take over. Antonia believes in the power of second chances, and she's dedicated to ensuring that returning citizens have their resources, dignity, and opportunities they need to thrive. Next, we have Seth Campbell, Director of Residential and Reentry Operations at Project 180. Seth is a Project 180 program graduate who draws on his lived experience of trauma, addiction, and cycles of incarceration to passionately advocate for and support others on their healing journeys. And finally, then we have David Yogi Harris, Program Coordinator for Project 180. Yogi has a remarkable story of transformation from decades in prison and ultimately winning his freedom to become a trusted mentor at Project 180. Maybe you read the article in the Sarasota Herald, I think it was about a week ago, and this was about Yogi. He brings deep wisdom, resilience, and empathy to guiding returning citizens through their first weeks and beyond. So I will turn it over to the Project 180.
Is my mic on? I don't know.
Is the mic on?
Hello, hello? Well, I can talk loud.
Yeah, we don't even.
Well, I first want to say I'm very proud of myself. It's the first time I've ever sat through that film and not cried. So, yay, I've been desensitized. I don't know if that's, but it's hard to watch that because I work with these guys, and you know, to see that it always chokes me up. So, we're very happy to be here. Project 180, our mission is to stop the cycle of reincarceration. We have a few programs. I'll let them tell you about our programs, but aside from the ones that they'll tell you about, we also have financial literacy courses that we bring into the jails. We work with a lot of local bankers and finance people who come in and they teach the FDIC modules. We also bring in trauma education, and we bring in something called the CEO Workforce Program, where we partner with CareerSource, and we come and talk to people about opportunities and how to get a job when you get out. So with that said, I'll turn it over to them, let them tell you about our programs, and then when they're done, I'll tell you what's next for Project 180.
Thank you. My name is Seth Campbell. I'm Director of Residential and Reentry Services for Project 180. I'm also a former resident of Project 180. What we do in our residential homes, we have 3 homes who house up to 17 people, and the reentry process is difficult in itself, right? So we help guide them through the process. We walk them through every step of the way and try to ensure the best possible transition into reentry, right? We take them to Costco every 2 weeks, fill the houses with food. We give them a medical stipend after 90 days in the program, $1,000 medical stipend. We match them dollar for dollar up to $1,000 to get their license back, to get them back on the road. And we guide them through the recovery process. It's NA and AA focused, so we do 90 meetings in 90 days, and 4 meetings a week thereafter. And the intake process is thorough, if you will, right? Well, I go to rehabs, jails, anywhere and everywhere, right? Or collect calls from the prison and go through a residential application with them. And upon doing the application, I kind of vet them to see where they're at. Because just as much as this is a family, like you saw in the film, right? And I want to make sure that we can put the best quality into the houses, right? Because one bad apple can ruin a whole bunch, right? So we try to vet them thoroughly and make sure that they're serious about their transition into recovery, into reentry services, and hold them accountable every step of the way. And I think that's pretty much it. Yogi.
Thanks, Seth. I'm Yogi. David, if you're my mother and you're angry with me. I'm coordinator of the First Week Out program. I'm the guy that calls the prisons and say, hey, you got anybody you want to let go? And if you do, I'm the guy that sort of softens their landing. So, as you know, you can't even find a bus schedule without a telephone. I get you a telephone. I get you clothes. I take you and help you get your documents you need, your ID, your birth certificate, social security card. My focus on many days is building relationships with release officers, prison release officers, mothers, aunts, cousins, uncles, fathers. I get calls from all of them. So I just try to soften the landing, give them that talk, that experience, that life experience, which goes a long way with a lot of these guys. And if they need housing, I even do that. I build relationships with different organizations throughout the community to find beds for these guys, suitable beds. It's really disheartening to have to watch a guy go live in the woods. So I do my best. And that's about it.
Thanks, Yogi.
Tony?
Before we get into the questions, sorry, I don't mean to take, do I have time? Perfect. I was thinking about some people I saw up there on the film, and there's a gentleman, Tom, who mentioned he was moving out of the house and his son was coming to spend the night for the first night. He now has full custody of his son in a 3-bedroom home, right? He got out of his studio apartment and got full custody. So that is a beautiful thing. And we have another gentleman who was in the film, Jeffrey, in the back. Jeff, raise your hand. Give it up for Jeff.
Tell them all about Jeff.
Jeff, since the making of the documentary, he was in the process of moving out as well in the documentary. He has introduced a newborn son into the world, and he's just created a family, right? These guys have created families outside of Project 180, right? And through the hard work and dedication, right? They've thrived and persevered to become the best version of themselves and now take that out into the world. And it's a beautiful thing, and I just didn't want to go without noticing that. And last but not least, we have Glenn back there. Glenn, raise your hand. Glenn is a current resident, house leader, and is on his way to transition out here soon. He's maxed out on his full 2 years and is looking to move out. So he's been a great asset to Project 180, and I wanted to recognize him as well. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was most impressed with when I joined this organization. It was the culture in the house. It was a culture of love. And for many people, coming out of prison, love is not something that they are used to, especially love from another man. And so what I would see is guys getting to each other and saying, don't give it back, give it to the new guy. And then these guys can't wait to be the new guy. And it really is, people talk about creating a culture of philanthropy, and it's sort of one of those catch-all phrases, but it truly is a culture of philanthropy. We have a lot of events. Our graduates show up to the events. Our graduates show up to Monday night house meetings. They don't need to be there. They just come because they miss their brothers and they miss their family. So if you're wondering what you can do to help us, we have a luncheon coming up where we're going to be featuring a keynote speaker, Kat, who has been bringing the trauma education in, and she can talk to you about what is trauma and why we want to address the trauma, why NA and AA might not be quite enough. Maybe sometimes it's good to understand that trauma is not what happened to you, it's what changed inside of you because of what happened to you. So once we can get people to really look at then they can let go of things like guilt and shame, and they can move forward. We also have a reentry simulation that we have planned for the community, similar to a poverty or a homeless simulator, if you've ever been to one of those. So I'm being very intentional with who we invite. I'm looking for policymakers, people who work for insurance companies. Often employers want to hire our guys, but the insurance companies tell them no. So if you know anyone who works for an insurance company or an actuary, let me know. But we've got some big things planned. Really the biggest thing is our women's house. Our board has just decided to take our reserves and purchase a home for women. So, we will be raising money for operating costs for our women's home and looking for partners. We've had a meeting. We met with 14 other nonprofits in the community at the Branson Foundation, and we said, hey, we are great at helping men, but we've never helped women before, and we know that they're a little bit different. So we've got some partners and people ready to support the women, and we're ready to move forward. So also, we have programs that we bring into our house meetings every other week. We've had people come in and teach Franklin Covey's 7 Habits. We've had people come and do nutrition classes. So I'm open to partner with anyone who's got a skill they want to share, or if you have an administrative skill or you know someone who wants to do volunteering, we're always looking for people to help us in the office. This is Stacy. Stacy is our one and only office extraordinaire person, and she's also going to be the person that's going to be in charge of the women's house. So she'll be the person leading that. So we're small but mighty, and we'd love to meet with anyone who is interested in what we're doing. And if you have a group of people that you know that would benefit by learning about us, we would love to come and talk to anyone you want to introduce us to.
Thanks.
Guys have questions?
So now we're going to open it up to questions.
I'll get the microphone to whoever the question is.
Yeah, right. You guys manage.
Hi, I have a zillion, but I'll just start with 1 or 2. So your program is both for residents, but you also do counseling and services for people who are, Yogi, you talked about you would help people that not necessarily going to be going to the home, they're going to be just reentry.
Yes, ma'am. Part of my job is finding housing for guys getting out of prison who don't have housing. So yes, ma'am, that's one of my responsibilities as well.
Tell them how long you meet with
In
them.
terms of the numbers, how long have you been in existence? How many people have graduated? How many people are, in a waiting? Oh,
You know.
sorry, didn't read it.
We've been a nonprofit since 2008. We've had 141 residents to date since the first house's inception in 2018. And we helped 61 participants in 2025 through our First Week Out program, which was much more men than women, but we do get to help women with the First Week Out program, like they were talking about. So 61 participants First Week Out. We've had 141 graduates to date, and out of the 30 graduates that we've had, there's a 27% recidivism rate, which is much lower than the 60% that the FDOC just put out a report in 2025. That 60% are rearrested within 3 years. Thanks.
Yeah, what she said.
You should tell them we also
Serve DeSoto.
DeSoto County.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Tony. It's important that you know that we recently were granted the opportunity to reach out to DeSoto County as well. So I serve we serve both Sarasota and DeSoto counties as well. So,
Very underserved community out there.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Who are some other second chance employers in there besides the flash?
Okay.
Oh man, there's so
Well,
many.
actually, Glenn, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, I work for, I'm a current resident, and I work for PGT, Custom Windows and Doors, in Colchester, North Venice, whatever they call it. And they're a second chance employer as well.
Alex's sliding glass door repair, here in Sarasota. Alex's sliding glass door repair and replacement.
Atlantic TNG.
Yeah,
Bishop's of them.
we have a lot of employers that we're working with. Google Minnesota is one of them too. I think a lot of companies will say that they hire on an individual basis. It's it's really hard to get them to say that they are or not a second chance employer. I think mostly we look at the industry, right? So there are certain industries that we know are a no-go depending on what your background is. Myself, I had to get an exemption from the Department of Children and Families just to be a social worker in the state of Florida. So, and I was told I could never work in education with my background. So it kind of depends. Usually manufacturing is safe, construction is safe, but it depends on what you're doing. If you're building a school, no, you're not gonna be able to get that. So it really depends. Most companies will tell you they have a hiring rubrics. So what's the position, what's the charge, and how long has it been? So we're used to navigating that, and my background was just helping people find jobs. So we have a pretty good grasp of which employers to send people to, and we actually have a volunteer who is going around and talking to our second chance employers and helping us to strengthen those relationships.
I kind of had a question, but through the course of the question and answer, it got answered. But I have another thing I want to talk about. I worked with Tony for several years, and I was a second chance employer finder as well at Goodwill. And it's not a question, it's basically a statement. I like to give back, and I don't know how I can help, but I'd like to figure out some type of way to help the men's program.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Carlos just recently joined our finance committee, so he's taking those years of banking experience.
I have a question about systemic issues. I was reading Desmond Mead's book, Let My People Vote, and he talks about when he was let out of prison, he was let out in the middle of the night in a city that had no facilities whatsoever, nothing around where you could go get food or shelter or anything in the middle of the night. And that sounds like a deliberate systemic issue, and I wanted you to comment on that. Is that still happening?
I think yes.
We can go down
I mean,
the
I
line.
got a call this weekend, it was pretty late. But I know that if you're letting people out on a Sunday morning, where are they gonna go for services until Monday morning? You know, so yes, that's still happening. And we are advocating for people to be released on a Monday morning or just on a weekday morning where they can go and actually get some assistance and then not end up, you know, sleeping somewhere they shouldn't or whatever and end up right back where they started.
I think, can we all answer that? Because I would love to chime in. Because I think of, there's a moment, I got a phone call from probation, say 9:30 on a Saturday night. Someone had been released and they were sleeping behind the probation building, right? Because they didn't want to violate their probation and they didn't know where to go, right? Luckily, I keep a sleeping bag in my car at all times, and it's such a fine line because honestly, I want to bring these people into my home, right? Because I know what it's like to sleep outside cold. So I stopped and got them a cheeseburger, something to eat, something to drink, brought him a sleeping bag, and did whatever I could for him in that moment just to help him make it through that night, right? So it happens.
Yeah. And that's my job, is to pick these guys up. So I get a phone call. I'm expecting a guy who has to ride 6 hours from his prison to Orlando, and then wait another 8 hours before his connecting bus comes to Sarasota. So what is he gonna do overnight? Has anybody here been to Orlando's bus station? You don't wanna spend the night in Orlando's bus station. You don't wanna spend the night in the neighborhood of Orlando's bus station. I go get him and bring him, find him housing, and it's just what we do. It's what we have to do because, you know, you get guys who get out, like you say, late at night, early in the morning, and there's no method to the madness. I don't understand it. I don't want to throw shade on FDOC, but, you know, what do you do? Right?
So,
Someone had asked about like how long we help. So it's called the first week out. You referred to it in the phone when the 30-day out. But I can tell you, we continue to be there for people when they need us. There's a gentleman that lives in Northport that had maybe early stages of dementia. We're not really sure, but Seth drives down there every month to take his ATM card and go pay his rent because the people in the house have stolen his money before. So, you know, that's just one of the things that's not in the program that we do just because we care.
any more questions?
So, I mean, I have to imagine during the transition, one of the hardest things is the reintegration of the family. So, I mean, you know, whether it's children or spouses or, you know, whatever, do you do anything to facilitate, to help residents deal with that?
So for the reunification process, we have to be careful with letting them into the houses unsupervised, just for, I don't know, legal issues, right? But we encourage it all the way. They can be there if we're present. If they let us know that a family member is coming by, we can take them with us. We've done barbecues on the beach and had everybody invite their family. We just had a huge Thanksgiving where we invited friends and family, right? We encourage it all the way and do everything we can.
Not the one that recently talked to their parents about right after years not talking to them.
Yeah, so, well, and I can share a little bit on myself too. Like, actually, when I was in Project 180, I had found my biological mother, who I had not known for 30 years of my life, right? And I was able to meet her and build a relationship, the best relationship I could. But through my experience doing that, we also sit with guys. We have house meetings every other week is a men's meeting, and it's just the guys, and we can sit down and be vulnerable and share about reunification, things they may be going through with their family, and just kind of get input, right, from everybody around them, and if they want it, right? Some guys might just share and say, hey, I just want to share this, right? I don't want any feedback. Like, I just want you to know where I'm at, and kind of just share where they're at, and it's all 12-step related. That's all I got. What you got?
Is there I'll just.
Yeah.
Is there a model that Project 180 is based on programs like it around the country?
That's a great question. And
Stacy?
And I don't know if there really is a model, but what I do know is I believe, like, what do you know? Do you know? Like the Scandinavian model?
Delancey Street, the Scandinavian model, Delancey Street, self-sufficient.
So Barb kind of took her own, you know, she took a bunch of different models and created what she believed would work, right? And so she's, in turn, I believe, truly created her own model, right? It's very original, and I never forget, she was always willing to share this model with other organizations, right? Like a lot of places keep things secret, right? Like the recipe for Coca-Cola, right? Like nobody knows how they make it, right? But like Barb wanted to give this to anybody she could, right? She wants it spread, and we want it spread. Now we have Tony, Stacy, myself, Yogi, and everybody in the crowd today to kind of share that and let's spread it.
Just hold on.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
there like an age parameter that you tend to orient to?
All ages, right? I mean, from adults, right? 18 to
Older?
Olden that Tony just spoke about in Northport is 82 years old, right? We don't discriminate.
I mean, everybody in the movie was like, over 20.
No, I'm not.
Definitely, and I think that boils down to, I think the youngest that I know of that I can recall through my time in Project 180, the youngest is like 23, right, 22. But I truly believe that's because at 18, a lot of times, like, I didn't know what I wanted at 18, right? So asking for help at 18 is huge but hard, right? So I think once we start to hit our early 20s, we realize that there's an issue that we need to fix, right? And how are we going to do this?
I have a question. How long
What's the average length of incarceration that you see? Is it like 2 years? Is it, you were 27 years?
27 years, 8 months, lady. I could tell you now, don't
So I don't know if that.
And it varies. It varies, right? So yeah, and I think that reaches the important part, right? Because it could be 3 years, it could be a year, it could be 5, 10. There's every walk of life has been here, right? But I think what's important is, so we have a minimum residency of 6 months plus 1 day, and a maximum residency of 2 years. And I've found that the average for successful graduates, the average length of stay is 364 days, right? So I encourage the guys to stay as long as possible, because with the lengths, right? Like Jeff, how long did you stay there, Jeff?
A little over 18 months.
Glenn, how long have you been there?
2 years, 2 years and like a month.
2 years?
So just under 2 years.
Glenn's at about 23 months for
Thank you, Glenn.
how long?
19 months.
I was there 15 months myself, right? And these are gentlemen who have thrived, right? So the longer the stay, I find, the better the success.
And the longer you stay, the longer you want to stay, I think.
Yeah, we had to push Jeff out. Please.
And if you guys want to hear more, these two host a podcast where they interview the residents or graduates for an entire hour. They ask them their whole life story. So it's really well done. We've been doing it at Max Shoe Studios. So we've got 8 episodes on YouTube. We're still working on uploading them. We're not IT people, but we do have 1 or 2 episodes uploaded. And on the flyer out there, there's a little QR code that'll take you to. It's called Uncuffed Conversations.
What is it? Where the truth comes out? How's it go?
I don't remember.
Where the cuffs come off and the truth comes out.
Yeah, there you go.
One more question.
Teleprompter time.
Okay, you pick up the ones who have been, that are coming out of, that are, not incarcerated anymore. How do they know to contact you all?
Well, most of the time I contact them.
You contact?
I usually, a lot of times what I do is I go down a list of release officers, and I just send out invites, so to speak. Listen, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I work for, and we invite you to give us your next people within 6 months. I have a list of people who's getting out within 6 months, and I'll ask the release officer to pass on this paperwork, have him fill it out, and if you would, please send it back to me. And a lot of times they do. More times than not, they do. Sometimes they say, I'm gonna live with my sister and I'm fine. But when they get here, when the release officer lets me know the bus schedule, when they'll arrive, and I'll meet them at the bus, pick them up, and drag them to get something to eat.
What geographical area do you reach out to?
I reach out to the entire state of Florida's prison system. However, we serve Sarasota and DeSoto counties. If they have been sentenced or committed out of Sarasota or DeSoto County, then they can have our benefits.
I just wanted to add something, and it kind of ties to that last question and the systemic question. So each prison has some capacity of classification reentry officers. And so we directly serve people that committed out of Sarasota or DeSoto, but there are housed in prisons all across Florida. Where you're committed out of doesn't matter in where you go. And so people will get released from all across the state. And so with the systemic problem, what we've seen is that each individual facility has a different process and are at a different stage in their progression of the things that need to change and the things that need to happen. So a lot like nuclear to us right here in this geographical area, DeSoto, Hardy, they're really progressing in their reentry teams. And so they know that they need to make a difference and make some changes to have it be, more thought out and more planned. And so that's what we get to do. That's what Yogi gets to do, is like have things be planned. So on New Year's Day, Yogi was picking up somebody. On Christmas Eve, I was picking up somebody. So like if these things are planned, then we can plan for them. And we hope that there's organizations that are helping the people that aren't committed out of Sarasota and DeSoto until we can gain some traction and expand ourselves.
Thanks, Stacy.
Well, I would like to know, one last question.
Yeah.
To do it, I'm in charge. I would like to know, there are those of us who have really been touched by the presentation, and we would like to help, but we may not feel that we have some skill set that you need right now, okay? So if you could tell us ways to help, or maybe you want to mention the luncheon again, because that was the first place I and John learned about that you were even here, that there was even such a wonderful program right here in the county where we live. So do you want to talk about just a couple minutes about that?
Well, I think that's really a question for Tony. However, one of the things I do when these guys get back, they have nothing. What they get is a $50 card if they do get that. The law says, hey, if you've been in prison and you've been reincarcerated within a certain amount of time, you don't get the $50. So even with that $50, by the time they make that bus ride, they've eaten it. One of the things I do is provide them with soap, towels, washcloths, hygiene products, backpacks. Now, I'm not asking you to give, but if you want to donate something, we could use it. These guys could use it.
Yogi, how long have you been out?
3 years.
3 years. Jeff, how long have you been out?
I got out in 2020.
I myself came home November 4th of 2021. Just wanted to show that the recidivism rate, I'm reaching 5 years.
We've got some material out there you can take. It has information about our Strong Voices, Strong Subjects lecture. It has information about the podcast, ways to give, and just ways to connect. I'm open to any conversation you guys have and ways that you want to connect. We're very open.
informative program and an emotionally strong program. And I really appreciate the honesty and the candor that you use to educate us about fellow citizens in our community. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening doors for us, Barbara.
You know, people didn't like that.
Yo, I don't want the fan.
Thank you for the numbers, you know, that people.
How do I?
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't understand how the camera. Oh, no, it's okay too. It should be. Yogi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
We hope we just